Welcome to 5 Minutes Alone with God. Today we are in the Gospel of Mark. Now we're only spending 5 minutes, so we're just trying to get the big picture, the one or two main ideas that come out of these verses. And then we're just trying to apply it. As you know, we could be digging and finding hours and hours of materials from this. So if you find some other information, that's great. We just want to try to help you see what the flow of thought is in the passage. So let's begin in verse 1. And after 2 days it was Passover, and the feast of unleavened bread. And the chief priests and the scribes sought how they might take him by trickery and put him to death. But they said, Not during the feast, lest there be an uproar of the people. And being in Bethany, and in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at the table, a woman came having an alabaster flask of very costly oil of spikenard, and she broke the flask and poured it on his head. But there were some who were indignant among themselves, and said, Why was this fragrant oil wasted? For it might have been sold for more than 300 denarii, and given to the poor. And they criticized her sharply. And Jesus said, Let her alone. Why do you trouble her? For she has done a good work for me. For you will have the poor with you always, and whenever you wish, you may do good to them, but to me you will not always have. She has done what she could. She has come beforehand to anoint my body for burial. Assuredly I say to you, wherever the gospel is preached, and in the whole world, what this woman has done will also be told as a memorial to her. Then Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went to the chief priests to betray him to them. And when they heard it, they were glad, and they promised to give him money. So he sought how he might conveniently betray him. Now on the first day of unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover lamb, the disciples said to him, Where do you want us to go to prepare, that you may eat the Passover? And he went out, and he sent out 2 of his disciples, and said to them, Go to the city, and a man will meet you carrying a pitcher of water. Follow him. Wherever he goes in, say to the master of the house, the teacher says, Where is the guest room in which I may eat the Passover with my disciples? So what is this main focus of this passage that we just read? Now, we read more than just the 11 verses here, but just stepping back as Judas goes out to betray him, let's just stop with that. What's taking place here? We see there's a plot to kill Jesus. That's definitely taking place. But in between the plot to kill him, there's also a woman that comes forward, and she spends a lot of money on doing a good work to Jesus, anointing his body. And he talks about it being his burial. But everyone's attitude towards that is critical, because they think that should have been sold and the money given to the poor. As we look at this, we recognize that when Jesus is around, that should be our primary focus. That seems to be a contradiction almost. Does it go against his teaching? Was Jesus always about helping the poor? Is that our main focus in life? Helping the poor? Or should our main focus be placed upon him, worshiping him, bringing him honor and glory? And that really seems to be what the focus is, because we see those who are unbelievers, they are trying to kill him and remove him. Those who come to worship him are looking and focusing all their attention upon him. So how would we apply something like this to our own life? When there is time in our life where the message of Christ is being taught, are we devoting ourselves completely to it? Or are we checking our phone and our messages, our emails, maybe some app that's taking place? Are we devoting ourselves to that time directly to him and for him because he is being declared? Are we setting time aside in our own personal life, maybe for a devotion, maybe for prayer? Whatever it is, when Christ is to take up a portion of our life, we need to devote 100% of ourselves, our time, our finances, our attention to him. That's really an application, or at least one of the applications that I feel God is speaking to me about. How would you apply this passage to your own life? That's our time together today. Have a great day.
Mark chapter 14, verses 12 through 21.